True Story Tuesday. The true story of Darryl God Whiting, based on the movie True Story Into Deep. Now, y'all, I did this last week. I did not know it was a true story last week, and then I wanted to come back, but I began distracted. So here we go. Let's talk about Mr. Darryl God Whiting. So just like God from Into Deep, who's played by LL Cool J, Mr. Whiting ran a 100 plus gang member organization out of Orchard Park Public Housing in Boston in the early 90s. Now, have no fear, he was feared among many, and he intimidated mostly the women, single women, vulnerable women, and he manipulated them into letting him stay at his home, at their home, that they were able to run the rug operation up out of their home, and he felt like it wasn't a big deal. And if you said no to him, you got the beat down. Now, God was a man that was all over 6 feet tall, so he was very much feared. He was very buff. He always was flashy, and he was very like fit. They said so. Wasn't nobody playing with him, and he wasn't scared to whoop anybody's ass. I mean, anybody's. Now, he was running this crack organization out of Orchard Park, which was in Roxbury, the area of Boston, New York area. He was back and forth. At first, he was born in New York. He was in the Corona Queens area, they say, of New York. And eventually, he migrated over to Boston, to where he found that he could take over. Now, he did try to disguise these business with social clubs and all, but everybody knew that it was just a drug operation that was making over $100,000 a day. He did this for 4 to 5 years, and he made millions before he was caught. Y'all, there's some money. Now, it was becoming too much because he was really tearing the neighborhood down. God was. He was really tearing the neighborhood down with his shenanigans, with his crimes, with his intimidation. People were scared to come and go. People were scared to live. It said that when God walked through, he was feared. But once they sent in a undercover Boston housing project, a police officer, everything changed. This police officer name was Jeff Coy, who was played by Omar Epps, called Jeff Reeves in the movie. Now, I couldn't get a picture of Jeff. I searched the internet high and low, but I don't know. Maybe they have him in high. So here we go with the Boston Housing Police, okay? Now, God got this name God at the age of 12-year-old after being a juvenile who joined this religious group called the 5% Nation. And they all serve Allah, and he received the name God. Now, God was talked about in ways to where he was celebrated with others, and others held him in high regards, but he was feared by many, and many felt like he destroyed the community, and he took down what it little that they did have. Now, his goons right here, they was no lesser than him. They was making authority even harder for people to stay around. Hence the crack deal. If y'all watch the movie In Too Deep, it was not easy living on the street. They tortured people. They bullied people. They did the most when it came to people making sure that they bought their products only. They did not snitch on them, and that they did whatever it was that they wanted them to do. Now, I'm not saying that he's the first one, but it is saying that God was one of the ones that actually went to jail off of selling cocaine for life. I mean, they trumped up so many charges on him. He had aiding and abetting. He had conspiracy. He had what would it call, bullying and torturing. He had all the kind of things to just running a big time drug operation that just put more and more charges on him. Not alone, his goons was right there with him. They was indicted over 37 people, 37 up to 50 people that was a part of his gang affiliation that went to prison with him as well. So, y'all, this was going down in the 80s and the 90s, and by 1990, he was convicted and sentenced to prison. This is God today, old and still in prison. He done wrote books. He was sentenced to prison for life, And let me see, he was sentenced to a life sentence, and he also was also sentenced to up to 240 extra years. And he's still there. He has been trying to appeal himself, trying to get out. Nothing has happened. He has wrote books and everything, but as far as they know, they're just really trying to keep him in prison because they feel like he has not refined, and if he get out, he gonna start some stuff up again. Which I think he kind of old now. They did not like how he used his charming, flamboyant, aggressive, bully way to charm and manipulate so many women, and I think that was what the big deal. And so many people would have became drug addict, became preyed upon, and so many mothers as well. And a whole community, a whole project, the Orchard Park project, it all the public housing development, it was all came to shit after God. Now I say this, and I'm gonna be fair because I mean you can't make people use drugs, but I know I had this conversation with a person once before, and they was talking about how white and black and all that kind of stuff, and who destroys our community. We destroy our own community, bringing this type of stuff in. Now don't get me wrong, people make their money all kind of ways. I'm not here to say near or there, but I can say that God was a man that did think that he was God, and he did a lot of bad things, a lot of terrible things to people. Over the years, he was very much feared, and right now, after several appeals, he will be spending his life, the rest of it, in prison.